Good morning, YouTube. All right, guys, today Grayson and I coming over to the shop, get a little bit of work done around here. So just to catch you guys up, in earlier videos last year, I announced that we had gotten possession of this building. Joe was going to let me use it for whatever means I chose. And basically, I just needed to set it up as a hobby shop. But it had not been used for many, many years. Everything was overgrown. If you guys go back to that video, you'll see where this whole area here was just grown up just like it is all back there. And Derek and I came out here with a tractor and cleared it. Now, since then, a lot of other things have happened, and some of it I filmed and some of it I haven't, but this grew back pretty quick, believe it or not. And I've come out here a couple times with just the mower and just kind of knocked it down, and even came with some herbicide and sprayed it. At one point on the other side of the building, when we were trying to get power run to it, Talon and I moved a bunch of the big implements away from the building so we could get to everything. But it's all been little small stuff here and there. And of course, right here on this pad is where you saw me do the repair on the tractor with the radiator. But now that the tractor's all up and running and the weather is nice, my goal is to get this place in shape so that I can get it secure and start moving my stuff over here so I've got room to work on my project. So for those of you that are new, I'll give you a really quick tour. So this used to be an old auto salvage place way back in the days. And then when that auto salvage place went out of business, Joe's family, who owned the feed store up in town, they use it for hay storage. But they've been gone a long time now, and Joe closed the business down after they passed. So it's just been sitting here vacant, but it has huge potential. So here on the south side of the building, you see I've got this bay door back here. There's a giant waste oil tank there on the west side of the building. And then as we go over here, we've got another bay door with this little pop-out area. Now this area here, I'm probably going to equip to hold my air compressor and so on and so forth. Things that I don't want taking a broom inside the shop, but I still want under shelter. Obviously, it's going to need work. A lot of this stuff is kind of rattered and tattered, but relatively easy to fix. We've got another single bay door here as well. Now here on the east side of the building, we've just got this concrete pad, which is just past that last bay door that I showed you there. At some point, I'd actually like to build an overhang here, make it more like a carport. And then we've got this metal building that attaches, that pops out with the bay door here, and that is the tallest door. That is I think that's a 12-foot door. Sure looks about 12 feet to me. And then just past that, we have another bay door. So we got 5 bay doors. That will come in really handy. And then up here on the what I call the high side of the building, you see it's all concrete over here, and you see the ground level comes up considerably a number of feet from there. We've got some windows here with coverings on them. And at first I thought about taking these off, but now that I think about it, because there's no gutter here, I think all the water that runs down and hits the concrete down here, the splash will cause it to splash into those windows a lot. So I may just leave these covers here. You can see how they're kind of constructed like that. Also, here's the main door in, and then I've got another window there. Now, we did remove the roofing off of that so we can get the power poles in, because remember when we took possession, there was no power here. Now there is. I haven't actually used it, but it's installed and it is operational. And then just past that, we're back over here to the west side where the waste oil tank is, which that will come in really handy for me as well, because as you know, doing all the oil changes at the rally circuits, we end up with a lot of waste oil that I always end up bringing back home. There is a waste oil burner inside the building. It's just sitting on the floor. It's not hooked up. I have no idea whether it works or whether it's even repairable, but hopefully I can get that up and running and we can use that waste oil to heat this place in the winter. Of course, guys, if you look, we're surrounded by these absolutely beautiful mountains. In fact, if you look back over that way towards our house, you'll see that one up there is all covered with snow still. We did get snow off and on all day yesterday. Nothing that stuck down here, but it's stuck up there. Guys, as we go down the steps to the inside, I'm not real fond of these steps coming down like this, but this is the inside. It's a lot bigger in here, but as you can see, it is an absolute mess in here. And there's even some leftover product in here that we'll have to decide what to do with. Which brings us to why Grayson and I are here today. So as you saw in a previous video, we got the tractor all up and running, and then we went on vacation for our cruise, and we haven't really done much over here since. So the whole idea is I'm gonna use the tractor to clear out a bunch of this crap and stack everything up neatly, kind of organize it, Some of the stuff I can't put outside just yet. All this hay is still usable, and I don't want it to sit outside in the rain and go to waste, but I've got to find something to do with it. Joe doesn't need it. I don't need it. I'm sure there's a value to it. Maybe I'll put it up on Facebook Marketplace or something, see if we can't sell it, give somebody a really good deal on it, and make some room in here rather than just going to waste. And of course, I've got a lot of pallets in here. So today we're gonna start cleaning up and stacking pallets. We're gonna start in the area where the tractor actually is parked at the moment. So I know it's kind of dark over here, but when you come around this corner, well, it's actually showing up better on camera than it is in real life, but there is the tractor. And as you come in here, you see there's a lot of debris and garbage in this room. So we're gonna get this door opened up, get the tractor fired up, and get to work. Okay guys, now with that door open, you can see in here, look at just all this stuff that's here. Now, a lot of this is like old clothing and stuff, but it's been in here for so long, it's moldy, it's nasty. I don't think it's worth donating. Joe doesn't even know where it all came from. There are some things like this I'll keep around because that may come in handy as a tractor attachment. But we're gonna start by getting this room cleaned out, all this garbage thrown out into a pile that we can probably light on fire at a later date. But yeah, there's a lot here, there's a lot of dirt also, which is why I brought the shovels. We're gonna literally clean it all out and just keep working our way through.
All right, so he is pulling the tractor out. Let's give it a second. Give it a second. I think it needs to warm up. And there it goes.
Is the door high enough, buddy?
Yeah. Yeah. There it is.
All right guys, if you remember, the tires on this side of the tractor are a little bit low. So that's why I brought the air compressor and the generator over with me so we could go ahead and air them up. I'll check all 4 of them while we're at it. Well guys, we run into a little problem. I got 3 of the tires all aired up, and you know, I don't even know what the proper pressure should be on these. Remember, I'm learning tractors. I only had this about a year. But 20 felt like a good pressure for the front. I know that I don't want to run them too hard. It's kind of like an ATV tire. You want them to hold their shape. You want them to roll with minimal resistance, but you don't want them too hard. You want a little cushion there. So I put 20 pounds in the front, but it looks like 15 was good for the rear. However, this wheel on this side of the tractor, I couldn't get to take air. There's something wrong with that valve stem, and I didn't have my valve stem core remover tool here. So Grace and I ran up to Goliath and we grabbed it, and I don't have a replacement valve stem for it. So what I'm going to try to do is take the valve stem out, fill it as much as I can with some air, then quickly put the valve stem back in it. So hopefully that will work. I got the valve stem at the 12 o'clock position so that my ballast liquid that's in there doesn't come out. I don't know exactly what it is. Could be beet juice. I don't believe it's water because we've had some pretty hard freezes and they haven't frozen, but I don't want to lose it either. So I got the valve stem at 12. We're gonna pull it out and give it a try. Well, that worked exactly like we planned on it. As you can see, she squirted on us, but not too bad. All right, so now we got the tractor back in here. We got the bucket tilted all the way back. We're just gonna start grabbing all these garbage bags, throw it in the bucket. This isn't a job we need a tractor for, but this makes it a whole lot easier than carrying each bag over to the pile. So we're just gonna fill the bucket, take it over there, dump it on top of what will be our burn pile someday. But before I do that, I've got to get this door up a little taller. If you saw earlier, we were able to get the tractor out, but that was before we aired the tires up the rest of the way. So now it won't come through the door. We've got it. So I just got to find something else to block this up with. This door doesn't stay up on its own. So I've got this piece of rough cut 2x6 holding it up, 2x4. Yeah, it's a rough cut 2x4. So it's bigger than a regular 2x4, but I need like another foot or so on the top of it. So I'm gonna find a concrete block or something to put under just to give me the room that I need. All right, cinder block on its side, or partial cinder block. That should do the job. I think it'll clear now. one load down, more to go. You'd be surprised at how heavy some of these bags are. I mean, Grayson's struggling to pick up a lot of them, and even a couple of them I picked up, like, whoa. Looks like maybe a bunch of old shop rags, clothing, whatever. Yeah, I'm not gonna use any of it, so I just wanna get rid of it. All right, guys, got a majority of the big garbage out of here, so now Grayson and I are just taking the shovels and stuff, scraping everything out from the corners into the center of the room, so we can come back in and scoop it up with the tractor. All right, so as you can see, we've got a majority of what was up against the walls moved out into the center. I'll tell you what, it's a lot of work. It's 40 degrees out and I'm sweating. Some of it is dry and dusty, coming up fairly easy. Some of it I'm having to scrape pretty hard with the shovel because it's just caked to the floor. And to make matters more difficult, this floor isn't a nice poured smooth floor. It's kind of like somebody just kind of half-ass floated it in here. There's tractor tracks that are actually in the concrete. So scraping with the shovel, I kept hitting anomalies in the concrete, areas that weren't flat, stopping the shovel dead, having to work around those, kind of a pain in the butt. But now that I've got most of it to the center, I'm just gonna come in and scoop it the best I can with the tractor, and then we'll shovel the last little bit in, take it and dump it. All right, although far from perfect, this room is relatively cleaned out. And in this room, I cleaned all the way up and along the sides of this pallet of hay rolls. Now, I didn't go much further past that because I can't really clean that room until I get that stuff out. But the problem is I couldn't even get to the pallets with the tractor until I cleaned all this out. So he said it's not a floor that he'd eat off of, but the dirt, the debris is gone. You can see the track marks I was talking about. That's how rough this floor is. But take a look at how much dirt was on this floor. Guys, keep in mind, this is not a compact tractor. That is a really good sized bucket. And it's about a third of the way full. It's a lot of dirt that was just in here on this floor. There's a lot more to go. All right, and now that we've got that section cleared right there, then we're gonna start working on this one. Now, it is starting to get dark. We're gonna lose a little bit of light here pretty soon. But my thought is, because I've got this hay that I don't want to store outside, but I want access to these doors, I think what we're gonna do is start clearing some of this stuff out. There's a lot of this hay that isn't even on pallets, rolls of this stuff just kind of hanging out and laying around. So I think we're gonna start putting some of this stuff on pallets. That would be easier to move. And then the empty pallets, I'm gonna start stacking off and out of the way. Because like I said, I can't put this stuff outside yet, but I don't want it near the doors. So I think I'm gonna make an area back there in that far corner where it's pretty much out of my way for right now, but I wanna clear everything to it and be able to get to it. So, it's been a lot of work. I'm out of breath. All right, guys, so we spent about half an hour in here now, straightening this up. You see it's a lot more open, but I haven't swept the floors yet. As you can see, it's so dark in here now that I can't see. I don't have any lights in this building yet. But I think if I flip the camera around and turn on the flash, you can see kind of what I've done. All right, so as a command, remember, this was just full of pallets, had hay stacked on it. So I moved all the pallets. I stacked all the bales of hay right here on these two pallets. Not a super neat stack, but it's here. And then I stacked pallets here and here, but then the rest of the floor is open with the exception of these long rolls. And I've got them organized so that they were just scattered everywhere through here, guys. It was just a mess. Now I still need to sweep, but like I said, it's so dark in here that I can't see. I started to sweep over here a little bit, but I just can't see what I'm doing. So I think we're gonna call it the night here. So I think I'm gonna go fire the tractor back up and dump what's in the bucket now, and then park the tractor back inside for the night. And then maybe we'll come over tomorrow morning and do a little bit more. right, guys, it is the next afternoon, and Grace and I are back to finish what we started yesterday. Well, not finish, but to make more progress on it. This is going to be a long-term project, but as you can see, there's much more light in here now. And I think what we're going to do, because it's only about 1 o'clock in the afternoon or just shortly thereafter, and I've got until about 5:30 before I need to head back to the house for some engagements tonight. So I think I'm going to open up these other bay doors. I got 3 more bay doors there I can open. We'll post one over here with the tractors in. That will let even more light in here so we can see what we're doing a little bit better.
I checked back there and I was like, where is the dustpan?
Yeah, it's back there someplace, but we don't need it because we're using the tractor for a dustpan, so that works out better. All right, guys, so we've taken about half an hour, and I've pretty much gone around all the outside edges and swept everything out from the walls. And now I did that with the big push broom, so I can't get in all these little nooks and crannies. If you look over here, you know, at the base of this wall, we got this this wood build out that's on it, and there's a lot of spots that the big push broom just doesn't get. So Grayson has grabbed the little broom, and he's going to work on all those little nooks and crannies while I push the bulk of this that I've got out into the middle of the room all over to here to make it easy to get to with the tractor, so we can just scoop it up like we did yesterday. All right, so we got the bulk of the material out of the main part of the room and over there by the door. It's quite the pile, guys. Keep in mind, it's in addition to what we took out from over there by the tractor on the day before. Now, there is still some spots here where I think I'm gonna have to come by and scrape with the shovel, as you can see. And even over here, there's some like laminate flooring that's loosely on the floor. You can see at one point there was a bathroom here. There's a toilet flange and either a vent pipe or a drain pipe for a sink of some sort. So I'm gonna scrape this stuff off while I'm right here with the shovel. Well, I was able to get most of that laminate flooring up, but there's still a lot of areas over here where the shovel just isn't really getting underneath. I mean, you can see that the stuff's flaking off, and I don't know what this covering is. I don't know if it's just a hardened mud from over the years, or if they had coated this floor with something at one point that has just not adhered properly, but it's kind of all through certain areas like here, and I can get some of it to pop up, but the shovel just isn't quite cutting it. I probably actually need a floor scraper to do some of this, and I don't know how in depth I'm going to go here. I mean, it's as long as it's not a dirty floor. I don't care if it's absolutely perfect or not, but there are some areas that the floor scraper may help. And if I'm not mistaken, I have one at home. Probably should have thrown it in the truck coming over here, but I didn't think about it. But the shovel still works good for areas like this. You can see right here around this pole, there's just some buildup of mucky muck. Of course, it's hard to do with one hand, but that's stuff that the broom wouldn't get. But the shovel gets right underneath there and takes it off. So just got to keep doing that until we get most of it out of here. I know that it is not going to be perfect, especially in these beginning stages, but the idea is to get the bulk of the mucky muck out of here. And that way we got a better idea of what we've got, what we're working with, and come up with a good game plan for what we're going to do in the future. So out with the mucky muck. All right, guys, there is the pile that is from this room. Now, these floors still are not perfect by any means, but trying to get them perfect at this point is unrealistic. So every time I sweep, I mean, I can come back and I can still see some sweep marks. There's still dust on the floor. There's still stuff that needs to be scraped, but it's going to have to do for now. What I may end up doing after I get everything up off of the floor and decide what's going to go and what's going to stay is I may just come through here with the blower, open up all the doors, start at the back corner, and then I can get as much of the dust out of the nooks and crannies that I can't get to with the brooms the best I can. But that's going to be a little ways off. Now I'm going to get ready to fire up the tractor. I'm going to pull it around so I can scoop up that pile, put it in the bucket. And while I've been doing that, Grayson has come over and started on this room. So he's sweeping up in here a little bit. This room's got a bunch of stuff I got to figure out what to do with as well. But we'll get into that in a little while. All right, guys, it's a world of difference again. Got a lot of work to do, but at least this looks better. So I think now we're going to move into that room over there behind Grayson, because that just seems the next logical step. Then when we're done with that one, then we'll come back and start with this room. And then we've got that room over there. Now there's a lot of lumber in that room. There's a lot less debris, but a lot more lumber that we're gonna have to stack and organize. And I think that I want to move most of that stuff back here to the back wall, which is why I wanted to start here before I got there, so that when it came time to clean that, I had a place to put it and organize it. There's even a bunch of pallet racking here on the property and some over at the Peachtree store as well. So I may put some pallet rack shelves up against the back, and then maybe I can stack that wood so it's not on the ground, it's up, elevated, a little bit neater. Not sure exactly how I'm doing it yet. Just still, wheels turning, trying to figure it all out. All right, guys, so we opened up the bay door here in this room. So we got the tractor at ready for hauling some of the stuff out. However, I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. You see, there's a bunch of hoses here. I mean, that actually looks like a fire hose of some sort. And this is more of a poly, like irrigation type tubing. And it looks like there's a couple 100 feet of each here, but it's a tangled mess. So I think what we're gonna do is pull that out into the yard, straighten it out, find the best way to kind of coil it back up, make it nice and neat. And then all this blue stuff here, it's actually like a warehouse racking system. You see the main structures back there on the wall, and it's one of those that's got a bunch of rollers on it, and they angle just slightly. So if you've got cases of product, you can stack it on there, and then when you pull the case off, the next one's just roll down into its stop. And this is stuff that Joe told me I could use. He doesn't need it, but I don't think I need it either. It's gonna take up way too much space in here. So I'm thinking that if I get the pallet racking in the back, maybe I can break this up into smaller sections, put it up tall in this really tall section back here so it's out of the way, because we can't set this outside. There really is no other place to put it. So I don't want to take his stuff and put it outside and then just rusts and rots away, but I also don't want it in my way. And so I'm trying to figure out that happy medium there with keeping his stuff protected and keeping it out of my way. And I think the pallet racking idea might be the best, but I can't even get to it with all this hosing and stuff on top. So we're going to start with pulling that out, get the floors cleaned up to this point, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do there, maybe. All right, guys, that was a task, I'll tell you that. The black pipe and this fire hose were all tangled up with one another. I started pulling the black pipe out first, but there were a couple kinks in it, and that hard plastic pipe, so a very sharp kink, and it was getting caught up on the hose, the fire hose. And I eventually had to get this one out first. I'm still gonna go fight with that one, which is probably, but look how long this thing is. I mean, it's out there quite a ways. It's gotta be 120 feet long probably. I'm not gonna take my time measuring it, just good estimate. But it was a workout. That thing is heavy. So I laid it out here in the pasture. I'm hoping that because it's so sunny, even though it's cool out today, I'm hoping that the sun will actually warm it up some, make it a little bit easier for me to kind of coil up and move later on. All right, but I still have this huge mess of black pipe to get out of here, and it looks like it's considerably longer than the fire hose was. But you see some of the kinks that are in it, like right there, where it's just catching on things. So hopefully I can fish it through. Probably should have brought something to cut it up into smaller sections, and I didn't. Now there are some mend points like that. Maybe, if I have to, I'll just unclamp those and see if I can't separate it there into smaller pieces. Well, I was right. This one is considerably longer than the other one. You know, and it's so cold. I mean, it's, what, high 40s, low 50s today? It's actually a pretty nice day out, but plastic, that's cold. And it's making it really stiff and hard to work with. Now, this is a really rigid plastic to start with, so even on a warm day, this stuff isn't exactly easy to work with. But I'm standing at the end of it that we pulled. You see how far away we are from the building. The other end of it is approximately where the end of that fire hose was. But as you can see, this was not laying flat. So it kind of loops and everything in it. But it's quite a ways. So there's the end. You see all these loops here still, so it's not laying flat or straight by any means. But you see, I've gone well over 100 feet now, and we're just now evening up with the fire hose. All right, so we're not quite to the end of the fire hose. I guess I over pulled this one a little bit. Fire hose is there, another 25 feet away or so, but it's quite a distance. So I think Grace and I are gonna let this hang out here in the sun for a little bit. I'm hoping it'll warm it up enough that I can kind of roll it and stretch it and get some of the big hoops out of it. And I just gotta figure out how I'm gonna store it afterwards. Luckily, I don't think they're gonna cut this field for hay anymore this year. I think it's pretty much done. So hopefully it's not in anybody's way if they lay here for a little while. But in theory, I'd like to have them rolled up by the end of the day. I just don't know that that's gonna happen. Well, one more room, mostly cleaned up. This one was a little challenging even after we got the pipes out of here and the hoses, because the insulation, there was a lot of insulation that fell down from the ceiling and it had gotten wet in here. It was almost like glued to the floor. So still some scraping with the shovel, and it's not perfect. There's still some spots that are gonna need better scraping, but again, mostly clean. The stuff over here, I believe, is like a driveway fabric, but those rolls are pretty big and pretty heavy. So I just left them there. So there's still some debris around the edges of it, but when I move those, I'll clean behind them, just like I will when I eventually move this stuff here. Again, that stuff's kind of undecided on what we're doing with it. So I think I'm gonna go dump this load, and then maybe we're gonna start on that front room right through there. All right, so now we are here on this room, and it's got a lot of debris in it, but it's mostly lumber and stuff and broken pallets. There's a whole bunch of propane tanks sitting over here. There's a toilet. There's a waste oil burner, which I'm gonna try to hook up and get working, but for right now, I think it's gonna stay there. And all these drums here, yeah, that's right, guys. Those are all Amsoil drums, but it's not Amsoil. Well, some of it is, but it's used. So most of this is the waste oil that I had to bring home where I wasn't able to leave it. So some of you know when we're at Daytona, spring and fall, we're able to just leave the oil there. They have a system where it gets recycled and they got a service that comes out, takes care of it. So I don't have to haul it home. Same thing at the Speedway up in Laconia. But everywhere else I go, I've either got to bring it home or find a place. And normally we had a place in Galveston where we could take it and leave it after we were done. And they had somebody, but that changed this year, so we weren't able to. So I've got, see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I think 11 barrels that I still had to bring home throughout the year. So luckily, with a waste oil heater, I hopefully should be able to put all that to good use. And you guys saw earlier in the video, when we were here yesterday, the 500-gallon containment over there. So ideally, I'll pump all this into there, and I've got it. I might even experiment with making some black diesel for the tractor and stuff, because it'd be a whole lot cheaper to use, and I want to be able to put this stuff to use. And if I can heat this place in the winter, would be great, because it does get brutal cold here sometimes. Enough that it makes you not want to come and work inside the shop when it's only 10 degrees outside. So we've only got about another hour until we've got to get headed home. So we're gonna see what we can do in this room, even though we're not gonna move the oil drum barrels. And I already swept behind those when I put them in place. So I'm gonna get rid of all this lumber, figure out what we're gonna do with this toilet. I don't necessarily want to get rid of it yet, because we might need a toilet here. It might just be able to be cleaned, or it might be garbage. I don't know, but for right now, we're just gonna do what we can. See if we can clean this room up in the next hour. Now, there were a number of old metal fluorescent light fixtures that were just kind of laying on the floor. A whole bunch of old bulbs in there as well. And I've decided just to throw these out. So I'm gonna carry them over here to the scrap pile, put them in the scrap metal pile that they'll eventually get recycled over at the recycle center. But nowadays you can buy the 8-foot LED light strips, like for shop lights. We use them at the rallies in Goliath, and they're so much cheaper and brighter and better. And it's cheaper to replace one of those than it is just to buy replacement bulbs for an old fluorescent system. So when I do put new lights in here, I'm not gonna use this old junk anyways. We're gonna go with some newer technology that'll be more energy efficient and cheaper to install. All right, guys, 4:52 p.m. And we've got this room mostly cleaned up as well. Looks so much better in here, and we're a little bit ahead of schedule. Now I still gotta go dump the bucket. As you can see, we filled it up in this room as well, pretty good. Not to the tippy top like some of the others. But as you can see, this room, all the debris is off of the floor. Like I said before, I didn't move the oil drums or that. So there's a little bit of debris down under there we just can't get to. But after I sweeping along that wall, I moved all those propane tanks over because they were sitting back here. So, you know, maybe I'll throw in a before picture, but the after is just amazingly different from what it was. Now this room, we still yet to do, but don't have time for it today. So right now we're just calling this the wood room. So the wood that was over here, we just kind of threw over here for the moment. Most of the stuff up against the wall here and that little pile there. Gonna have to figure out a way to organize this without putting it outside. So that's gonna be a project for another day. But all in all, the before and after is a huge, huge difference. I can walk through here without tripping over stuff. It just feels cleaner. I know it's not clean by any means, but it's much better. I had to start another stack of pallets. These are all pallets out of that room. So I didn't want to go too much higher, so I started a third stack. And of course, there's still pallets underneath some of this stuff, but oh guys, what a difference. Well, like I said, we needed to leave here around 5. I told Katie I'd be home between 5 and 5:30. Tonight, we're actually doing a live with Bob and Tam. So it's actually New Year's Eve right now as we're recording this. And most likely you guys won't see this until the morning of New Year's Day. So you won't have time to go to the live. But if you were on the live last night, which is tonight for me, last night for you, you guys will know why we're kind of quitting a little bit early before it gets dark, just because I want to go home. I want to shower and shave and all that stuff before we do the live and try to squeeze dinner in there as well. So I think that's going to end this one, guys. This is phase 1. We're going to call it complete. I want to thank Grayson as well for being here the last 2 days helping me out with this because he was definitely helpful. And it kind of feels good to be able to kind of teach him like the value of real work. A lot of kids don't have that nowadays. So he actually enjoyed it. In fact, I was going to leave to come here today without him because I thought he didn't want to come. And then when he found out I was leaving, he got upset and ran really quick and put his clothes on, and I had to wait in the driveway for him. So he really wanted to come and be a part of this, and I'm really glad that he did. All right, so I'm gonna go dump this, and then we're gonna close up the shop and enjoy the little beautiful sunset going down behind the mountains right there. We still have all the piping laying over there. Maybe I'll come back and tend to that tomorrow because now it's in the shade, it's cool again. I'll come back, you know, midday. Hopefully the sun will been beating on it long enough that it'll be a little bit easier to work with. But other than that, we're done, guys. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Until the next time I see you, keep those engines running. All right, and if you guys have made it this far through this long video, I want to thank you because you are the absolute true fans of the channel, and your support is always greatly appreciated. And with that said, I want to let you know that as of January 1st, which is when you're watching this video, hopefully, or when this video is available at least, the Patreon channel is up and running. There is a video scheduled every Monday for the next 6 weeks. Plus, I'll be working other videos I'll throw in there as well. It's all set up and ready to go, guys. If you really want to be a patron and help with that, we greatly appreciate it. You're going to see a lot of the behind the scenes videos or the uncut videos that were found unsuitable from YouTube throughout the year. So there will be some redundancies in there. There'll be some videos that you've seen, but you hadn't seen them in their entirety. So you're going to get the full uncut versions there. And then I got a lot more good stuff coming that's going to be on that channel in the near future, guys. So check it out. And we appreciate your support there. There'll be a link in the description below.